E-Cig? Well, it's a nicotine delivery device. It's a way for individuals to stop smoking. It's a better, healthier alternative to a cigarette. It's something that you can use on a daily basis and you won't smell like you've been rolling in an ashtray all day. This simple device, which may look very, very, very technical and advanced and something that your average user may be afraid of, is very simple in how it works. Usually what you would normally buy when you want to start doing the switch from cigarettes to vaping. You're going to find a simple little device, and it's going to be just a straight battery and maybe a throwaway tank or a reusable tank, one you could change the coil on. This is a reusable tank. This I can change a coil on when it goes bad. The batteries on this unit are replaceable. I can take the batteries out if need be to replace them. Some units you can't. There's a coil in here. This coil right here is what vaporizes the liquid that you use. Now the liquid that you put in here is a mixture of propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, nicotine, and flavorings. So when you switch to E-Cigs, you get a benefits from it. You get the same benefits as if you were to quit smoking cigarettes. You were to get the better smell, the better taste. You would smell better. Your body odor would not smell like an ashtray. Your lungs would be a lot lighter. You'd be able to breathe a lot more. You would not hack. The consequences that come with smoking cigarettes is gone. It more or less is like quitting cold turkey minus the stress that you have from not receiving the nicotine. The nicotine level inside of the fluid is going to vary. It's going to vary depending on how much you were smoking when you wanted to change over. If you were a heavy smoker, someone who smoked 2 to 3 packs a day, the recommendation would be to have 18 to 24 milligrams. 18 is very strong, 24 is extremely strong, but if you were a heavy smoker, that's what's recommended. Now, when you go into a device like this, going above 6 is not recommended. You can still deliver more nicotine to your body than required and give yourself a nicotine overdose. And it's very, very horrible to get a nicotine overdose. It's headache, vomiting, things like that. When you deliver too much nicotine to your body, you're still causing consequences. This gives the user an opportunity to control the level of nicotine they're using. So there's always that option for being able to choose what level of nicotine you want. Now, they do have fluid with no nicotine in it, and that's for individuals who have totally cut the nicotine out of their life, and all they want to use this for is because they love the flavors. You can find these devices anywhere from your basic starter kit, which is just a 650 mAh battery, and possibly a disposable tank, but some of them, depending on where you go and what they have to offer, may have a tank that's reusable. Now what that means is you can replace the coil inside there, which means it more or less saves you from having to throw away the tank, and you can continue to use that tank for as long as it survives. You'd end up replacing the coil whenever it goes bad. Now, to know when a coil goes bad, it's very easy. When you first hit a fresh coil, fresh device that's the juice has been saturated into that coil enough, because that's one of the things you want to do with these, is when you get a fresh coil and put it in your unit, you want to have it saturated. You want to have that cotton soaked. So that way you don't burn that coil out and don't get a burnt taste right off. Now, when the coil is going bad, it will taste burnt. It doesn't matter. It's a heat being produced over a cotton filament. So the cotton's going to burn out eventually. I don't care how much fluid you have constantly on it. If you have a tank like this, it's going to burn out after a time. That time depends on how much you smoked before and how much you use your E-Cig. It can go for anywhere from 3 days up into 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I've seen someone be able to use a coil for a month. So that's a variance that you have to look at when you're going out to buy one of these. How much were you smoking before, onto how often you're going to have to change your coil. Now, signs of a bad coil, besides the taste, that's going to be the first notification that it's going to be bad. You won't get a fire. Now, on these kind of devices, you'll have a screen reading that says low atomizer, which if you unscrew the atomizer from the battery, and then screw it back into the battery, and you get the same reading, you need to change your coil. That means your coil is done. It's probably fried at one point, broken the connection in the coil, and you no longer are able to use that coil. You'd have to replace it with a fresh one. Now, the coil in this is what heats up the liquid. So the coil's rated out in ohms. So when you have these beginner units, you're using something as a 2.4 to a 1.8 ohm coil. And when you may end up with buying something in the beginning that's going to be a 1.8. I, however, am into something that is a 0.15 ohm, which means a lesser resistance, which means more smoke that comes in off, or vape I should say, that comes in off the hit, which means a higher intensity of the flavor, and it enhances the level and strength of the nicotine. Okay, so this is more of an advanced tank, but they all have that similar look and style to them. They've got their mouthpiece. Majority of them are removable. They snap right in and slide right in and off, more like a snap. It's really tight fitting. There's some O-rings on here that help keep it in place and keep it from rattling around. Some of your units have airflow at the bottom, which is this little unit here. But this airflow helps the user get the amount of vape that they desire. If they like an easier pull, they open it up wide, completely wide open. And it gives them an easier pull through. If they want it tougher to pull, they would close these up, and it would give a harder pull or a harder drag. So it means you're using more effort to get the vape you need. Next, we're going to get on to the battery. This component right here. This one is just a unit itself. I have to supply internal power source to it. So yes, when someone mentions a battery for an E-Cig, it could have a removable or it could have a soldered in power source. Some units you can charge battery inside of it. This has a micro USB port on it. It allows me to plug into the computer or a wall outlet and charge the batteries, or if I'm on the go, I can use my car charger for my cell phone to use to charge this. Works just the same. So how do you use an E-Cig? Well, you buy one, set it up, charge it up, make sure that if it doesn't already have a decent charge that you can start using, because it's recommended to let the batteries, because they are lithium batteries, to drain out completely before you charge them again. So if there's a little bit of a charge on here, it's a good idea to start with that and go ahead and kill out the batteries completely the first time. That way you can get 100% charge on them when you go to charge them. So you make sure that the batteries are in here. If you've bought a starter unit, the battery's soldered into it, so you just connect your tank onto the unit. So once you have your tank completely full, or as full as you would like it, I recommend to fill the tanks to the maximum. The more fluid you have in the tank, the longer the coil is going to last you, as that coil is going to stay saturated with fluid. So you've got your full tank. It sits on the battery. Battery is fully charged, or at least has some sort of power in it at that moment. So to take a hit, you would go ahead and press the side button. But before you do that, you put the unit into your mouth like you would a cigarette. Press the button, take a hit. So yeah, you just press this fire button, and it's that simple. Some of them have that. Some of the units, when you buy a starter kit, they have a little small fire button on the side that'll light up white when you're using it. It all depends on the unit. Maybe the color may change. I've seen a few of the basic units where they have a battery level indicator built inside the light, which when you press it, it's going to be blue if the battery's 100% charged. It may turn to orange, and then it may go to white. Some of them go white, blue, orange. It all depends on the battery you have purchased and the individual who is selling it on what they carry in stock. Now this one, like I said, I get a battery level displayed on my screen. I got voltage displayed on my screen, so I know more or less what's going on. Now these have a way to turn them off, and it's usually 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really rapid, and the unit turns off. So which means you press the fire button and you don't get anything happening. So to turn it back on, you give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rapid clicks, and it's back on. So that's the basics of these.